Welcome to the pre-algebra practice test, and you might start to freak out that there are a bunch of problems, nearly 50, right? But hang on, I'm not going to ask you to do 100% of these. However, I think you could and you should maybe even challenge yourself to try all of them. So here's what I'm going to do. As you know, I try to make videos explaining how these things are done. So this is that video. I'm going to try and chop it up into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 videos. And you might be thinking, holy cow. But that way, if you're like, you know what, I'm going to try and do just maybe, one section at a time. Cool. Then that can be there for you. Okay. That's enough explanation. Here we go. Notice it says use the order of operations, PEMDAS. And as I've said in other videos and other times in class, this thing, this thing is equally as important because this is parentheses, exponents, division, multiplication, subtraction, adding. Well, that's weird. Remember, these two are pretty much equal partners. And if you have multiplication and division on one line, go left or right. Same thing with addition and subtraction. If you have addition and subtraction on one line, go left or right. And that's why I've kind of written this thing so that you can go, oh, look. I mean, I guess if the teacher's writing it, maybe they're not crazy. I'm not crazy, okay? Just go left or right with those. All right, back over here. We have parentheses that we can't simplify, but we have exponents. This is going to be -4 times -4, which is 16. Number 2, this negative is technically not being used by that exponent. In fact, probably be better to write it like this, right? But they don't always do that, and especially if you ever use a calculator, if you were to type this, if you were to use a calculator, you type it like this, the calculator will probably not interpret it like that. So anyway, this is how you should interpret it, which is -6 times 6, or -36. Okay, we have multiply, and we're just going to go left to right, okay? So -5 times 3, -15. -15 times -2 is +30. This whole thing right here is times 0, so it's 0. This is left to right multiplying. -5 times 7 is +35 times -20. If you have a little bit of trouble multiplying some of these things, try and think maybe a little bit differently. What I mean is, what I'm going to do is 35 times 10, but you could also do 35 times 2. And then watch this. So this is 350. Now I just need to multiply that by -2. Well, why? Well, because if you were to do 10 times -2, you get -20, right? So how about up here? This is 70, and then I need to multiply it by -10. I think you see that either way you get -700. 5 minus 8 squared. 5 minus 8 times 8. 5 minus 64 equals -59. -5 squared, that's -5 times 5 times 4. Hey, look, these 5s are inside of these parentheses, and I can actually do that. Sometimes it's just like, hey, it's -4 inside the parentheses, and you can't do anything about that, right? But we can here. We have -25 times 4, and that is -100. Number 8. -2 times -3 times -3 times -3. Well, -3 times -3 is 9. And then we're going to multiply by -3 again, and we get that -2 is still out front. negative 27. And then 2 times 27 is 54, positive 54. 19. All right, now we're getting a little more complicated. 2 plus 1 times. Now, that dot is there, but it doesn't really have to be. So here's what I'm going to do. I know that inside of these parentheses, I can simplify that. Negative 7 plus 5 is negative 2. And then check it out. That was multiplying 1 times negative 2 is negative 2, right? 1 times anything is that thing, and this equals 0 because I have $2. I give away $2. I have $0. Number 10, 4 minus negative 2 cubed. Okay. Resist the urge to do this. Why? Well, because we're not actually subtracting that right now. We need to follow the order of operations, which says do exponents first. So we have 4 minus negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. That's what that cube means, and especially the cube when it's got that whole thing in parentheses right there, okay? 4, so here we go. These two together are positive 4, but then what about that negative 2? There we go. 4 minus, now this becomes negative 8. Okay, remember that earlier when I said resist the urge to do this? It was because we hadn't done the exponent yet, but now we have. So you can now officially do that and get 12. Why is it that you're doing this? Remember, if I am removing negative things, then I'm generally going to feel positive about that, right? It's going to be positive, okay? Number 11, 4 times 25 times, and that's 3 squared. So that's 3 times 3, which is 9. Okay, now another way that you can kind of do some of this bigger multiplication in your head is that dude is 1 away from 10, right? If I asked you to do 25 times 10, I think you would come up with 250 pretty easily, right? But then you need to subtract 25 to get back down to 9. And if that just went over your head, if you're thinking, I do not understand, then you need to just do 25 times 9. Okay? So now what we have is 4 times 225. Yippee! 4 times 225. Well, here, I'm going to erase some of this so I don't mess up our future mathing. Okay? And we will do 225 times 4 right here. 20 with a 2. 8, 10. This is 900. 900. 12. Okay, we're getting a little more complicated still. In fact, I'm going to do this. I'm going to write PEMDAS over here to remind myself. I mean, for you, it's just right there, but I don't want to zoom in and out. So I got parentheses. Inside of these parentheses, I've actually got exponents. So here's what I'm going to do. Negative 4, 9 minus 8 plus 1. This is 9, okay? And now I'm going to keep that negative 4 blue because I can do 9 minus 8 to get 1. I'm going to keep this plus 1 blue because we didn't do anything with it. But now negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. Plus 1 is negative 3. All right, 13. Let's write PEMDAS again. We have no parentheses. We have no exponents. We have no multiplying. We have dividing. So let's do that first. Negative 14 divided by 2 is negative 7. And now all we've got left is adding and subtracting. We're just going to go left or right. Negative 8 minus 7 is negative 15. You add 5 to that, you get negative 10. Let's write PEMDAS again, just to help have that visual reminder. No parentheses, no exponents. We have multiplying and dividing. Here's dividing, here's multiplying. So let's do them dividing first. 24, because we're going left to right, yeah, left to right. 24 divided by negative 4 is negative 6 plus negative 2 times negative 5. Negative 6 doesn't change, but negative 2 times negative 5 is positive 10. So negative 6 plus 10 is 4. So like I said, I'm going to try and do these in different sections. Let's be honest, it took me like 1 or 2 minutes to just explain what I was going to do, and now the video is 11 minutes long. So 14 questions, 9 minutes. I realize I'm the math teacher, so that goes quickly, but I was also explaining every step. So I just want you to kind of feel like, okay, if you really buckle down, you can do this, and it won't take you 50 years. All right? See you in the next video. Now we are evaluating expressions when x is 10, when y is negative 2, and when z is negative 5. So I don't want you to get crazy with this, but in theory, we could just go through here and be like, okay, that's an x, that's going to be 10. There's an x, that's going to be 10. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, everywhere you see an x, it's going to change into a 10. And the same thing with y and z. Okay, so here we go. I'm not going to try and color code them all. You know what? Whatever. Here we go. Negative 10 divided by negative 2. Same signs. Negative divided by negative. 5. And 16, we have 12 divided by 3y. Well, that 3, I'm going to try and keep everything original in like purple, right? So anyway, and then y is, let's see, that's negative 2. So what exactly is going on here with these two? Do you know? They are multiplying each other. This is like saying I have 3 y's, and when you have 3 of something, you multiply, okay? So 12 divided by negative 6. And 12 divided by negative 6 equals negative 2. Now, I don't want to worry you like, yes, we did go left to right with our multiplying and dividing, except the idea is they gave us parentheses right here, and you do the parentheses first, okay? Had we just had, let me zoom out and said, if we just had this 12, that's an ugly divided by, if we had 12 divided by 3 times negative 2, this would have been 4 times negative 2, and we would have gotten negative 8. So the communication matters, okay? The fact that we have the parentheses there tells us the order we should do this stuff. Okay. 2 times negative 5 over negative 2. Well, we're going to do this up top because really, as this guy's on the bottom, he's simplified. There's nothing going on with him. So 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. And if we divide that by negative 2, we get positive 5. All right. Let's see. All right. Okay, I started mixing up some colors here, so I had to double check what my x was. X is 10, so we're going to have negative 10 plus negative 2 all over 6. All right. So up top here, all we have is addition and subtraction. This is adding a negative, so that's like subtracting. If I'm going to give you 2 insults, you are going to overall feel negative, right? So negative 10 minus 2 is negative 12. And then we can divide that by 6 to get negative 2. 100 divided by, let's see, z is negative 5. So negative 5. I'm going to put that, and then there's a negative in front of it, There's a 2 right there. There is parentheses here divided by 100. So one thing I want to clear up is this is squaring the z. And this is z right here, okay? So we have to follow the order of operations. We have to follow that we are going to do, well, hang on, we're going to go into parentheses. Well, there's like 2 sets of parentheses here. There's this one, and then we're going to go inside of that one. Okay, well, so inside of this set of parentheses, we're going to do the exponent first. So we have 100 divided by parentheses negative, and then this is negative 5 times negative 5, okay? 100 divided by negative, and negative 5 times negative 5 is positive 25. Again, I'm using colors to kind of communicate the specific steps. Now, 100 divided by negative 25 is negative 4. Let's see, y is 10 times negative 2 squared all over negative 5. All right. So we're going to get 10 times 4. Maybe I should make this yellow. 4 over negative 5. 10 times 4 is 40. Divide that by negative 5. Come on. Come on. There we go. We get negative 8. We got 2 more. X is 10. So we have absolute value of 10 times negative 5 all over negative 2. Okay. So our first one with absolute value on this whole thing, I think. Yeah? Yeah, okay. So here we go. The absolute value is going to be done last. The absolute value is going to be done last, okay? We need to simplify everything inside of it first. So, 10 times negative 5 is negative 50. Over, check this out, a negative is positive. If I'm going to remove negativity, then I'm going to be adding 2, okay? Need my absolute value bars, but I'm not done with them, right? So now I'm going to divide negative 50 by 2, and I get negative 25. Absolute value bars are out there. My final answer is 25. Last one, 22. We have negative, and then we do parentheses because that's what our x is. 10 squared. Okay, I kind of got lost there for a second. Plus 6 times negative 5 all over negative 2. All right. Parentheses, exponents. Negative 100 plus 6 times negative 5 all over negative 2. If you need to pause, because I've kind of shifted that off the screen, pause, go for it. Negative 100 minus 30. Positive 6 times negative 5 is negative 30. All over negative 2. On top, we can simplify that to be, I was about to say, we have more to do. That's the next page. Just kidding. Negative 130 over negative 2. This is positive 65. Okay, we've done the entire front page. By my calculations, that took about 20 minutes for 22 problems. All right, let me know what questions you got. I'll see you over here. All right, we're ready for part 3. We got some absolute value bars here, which that means we're going to have to deal with them kind of like parentheses, and parentheses are handled first. So 5 plus 3 times 4, that's going to look like this. 5 plus 12, and that's going to be 17. We got negative 6 divided by 2, that's negative 3, plus 9, well, that is 6. We got 12 minus the absolute value of negative 4 times 3. So like I said, these are kind of like parentheses, so I'm going to go in here and do 12 minus the absolute value of negative 12. The absolute value of negative 12 is 12. So 12 minus 12 is 0. We have parentheses here. 18 divided by negative 3. That's negative 6 plus negative 7. Well, this is that scenario where we can do that. If you're not comfortable with that, remember you are adding negative feelings when you were already feeling negative. So this is negative 13. But like I said, you could do that so where it's negative 6 on a number line and you're about to go negative 7 to negative 13. Getting a little uglier looking. We got the absolute value, and on the inside we have 5 plus negative 8. Okay, so negative 2, and then like I said, these are like parentheses, so we're going to do that. I'm recording at Panera. Sorry if the sounds are too weird or BB or whatever. 5 plus negative 8, that's 5 minus 8. That's negative 3. We take the absolute value of that, and that's just 3. So our answer is negative 6. Negative 3 squared. That negative 3 is in parentheses, so we're going to get 9 from that. Plus 4 times 2. Well, we're going to get plus 8 from that. We got 17. If you're a little confused on like the order in which I did that, it was okay to do the exponents and then the multiplying there, right? So I did that. And then the next thing I'd have to do was the multiplying, so I did that, and there we go. 2 cubed minus the absolute value of 5 times negative 2. So we have several things going on here. We have parentheses. These are like parentheses. They're like parentheses. So we can do what's inside of them. And so what we get is the absolute value of 5 times negative 2. That's negative 10. And then really we can go ahead and do this too. That is 2 times 2 times 2. That's 4 times 2. That's 8. We have 8 minus the absolute value of negative 10. That would be 8 minus 10, which is negative 2. Negative 4 squared minus 3 times 6. This is 16 minus 3 times 6. This is 16 minus 18. This is negative 2. All right, negative 2 cubed plus 12 divided by negative 3. So PEMDAS, parentheses first. So we can go inside these parentheses. 12 divided by negative 3 would be negative 4. And we can already go ahead and do these exponents. So negative 2 cubed is like this. So negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. Negative 2 times 4 is negative 8, like that. And now this is just negative 8 minus 4. We have negative 12. Negative 5 plus 7 squared. So This one might seem a little different because we have brackets instead of parentheses. Well, guess what? When it comes to the P in PEMDAS, there's parentheses, there are brackets, there are braces even. They're just different parentheses. So we are just saying, hey, let's go inside of these and do the math. So really it's just -5 plus 7, which is 2. And then those brackets are there with squared. So it's just 2 squared, that's 4. So really, that was that whole little section. See you in the next video. 24. The absolute value of -10 plus 6. Remember, these are kind of like parentheses, so we can go ahead and do this since parentheses are first. So now we have the absolute value of -4. Then times, well, we have exponents, so that's like -3. It's not like -3, it is -3 times -3, that's 9. We're going to take the absolute value, that's 4. 4 times 9 is 36. In parentheses, we have 4 squared divided by -2. And then add -7. So we go inside the parentheses first. And inside the parentheses, we've got an exponent. 4 squared is 16. 16 divided by -2 is -8. And then we had this plus -7 just hanging out there waiting on us. So -8, and then we're going to add some more negatives. It's -15. -3 cubed plus 15 minus 9. -3 cubed is -3 times -3 times -3. Well, that's 9 times -3, which is -27. I don't know what that was. -27 plus, and now we can do those because they're in parentheses. 15 minus 9 is 6. -27 plus 6 is -21. 6 minus 8 inside of parentheses, then it's squared. Okay, so let's go inside those parentheses and do that. 6 minus 8 is -2. Then it's being squared. That is 4. Plus 12 divided by -3. So now we did all this, and then we can do 12 divided by -3. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do this. I'm going to go ahead and write down what we've got, just so that you feel like we've got it in order. So we did parentheses right here. We did our exponent right here. Now you would do multiplying or division. So right there, that's what we're going to do next. So we're going to have 4, come on, 4 minus 4. Why is it minus 4? Because 12 divided by -3 is -4, and 4 minus 4 is 0. -2 plus 5, well, that's inside parentheses. We do parentheses first, so that's 3. Times, we can do what's inside those parentheses. That's -3. But do not forget that this is being squared. So we're going to do that next. So we have 3 times 9 is 27. Where'd I get 9? That's -3 squared. All right, so we had one with brackets on the last video down here, and we just said, hey, brackets, parentheses, braces, pretty much the same thing, so don't freak out. We're going to do what's inside of them first. So -2 squared, that's 4. -3 squared, that's 9. These guys are still in the brackets, so we can keep kind of focusing on them. 13. And then let's throw this divided by -5, divided by -5. And we get our first kind of ugly looking answer because it's a fraction. So -13 over 5, that works. You could call it -2, hold up, -2 and 3/5. You call it -2.6. Any of those would work. 2 cubed times -4. Okay, so if you're feeling a little freaked out, parentheses. We're going to go inside of our parentheses, and then we're going to do the exponents. So 2 cubed is 8. 8 times -4, that's -32. Plus, well, -6 squared is going to be 36. So we have -32 plus 36, that's 4. Inside our parentheses, we've got an absolute value. So we can take that absolute value, and it's now 5 plus 3. 5 plus 3 is 8. 8 squared is 64 minus 4 divided by 2. Well, now we're going to do division. -4 divided by 2. We have 64 minus 2, because -4 divided by 2 is -2. This is just 62. -2 cubed, that is 8. -8, because it would look like this. That's 4. 4 times -2. I don't know why when I get over to this part of the screen, it likes to mess up. 4 times -2, that's -8. There we go. Anyway, and then -3 squared, that's just 9. This is -72. Last but not least, and it looks very tricky, but you guys, just think through. What do you have? Parentheses. I got a big set of parentheses here. And then inside those parentheses, I got another set of parentheses. So let's go and do that. -1 plus 4 is 3. That 3 was being squared, right? In fact, here, we're going to write the rest of the stuff. Okay, now inside the parentheses. So we're still in the parentheses. There are exponents. So we have 3 squared is 9 minus. This minus just drops down because we are now dealing with -2 cubed. -2 cubed is -8. And then inside our parentheses, we have 9 minus -8. That's 9 plus 8. So we have 17 divided by 5. And now we have reached our second and final ugly looking answer. 17 over 5, which could also be, let's see, 3 2/5, which could be 3.4. Any of those are acceptable. So check it out. We did all that. And now this might seem like it's going to be crazy, but you got this. All right, we've reached the end, and you're playing laser tag. This table shows how many points you gain or lose when you hit someone or when you're hit by another player in different locations. So let's read this here. You are hit 3 times on the back, twice on the shoulder, and twice on the laser. Those are times that you are hit. And when you are hit, you lose points. So let's kind of keep track of that real quick. So you're hit 3 times on the back. So the back is 25 points lost. And you're hit 3 times. Yeah? And then let's see, twice on the shoulder. That is -12 times 2. And twice on the laser. That's -12 times 2 again. So why don't we go ahead and come up with how many points we've lost. So this is -75, -24, -24, right? And then let's add that up. So there's a couple ways we could do this. Really, you could just do 75 plus 24 plus 24, and then make sure and make your final answer negative, right? Or you could just do subtraction. So anyway, here's what I'm going to do. 75 plus 24, that's 99. So 99 and then another 24, that's 123 negative. Okay, so we've lost 123 points based on how we were hit. Okay, let's go over here and read some more. By the way, I'm a little cheating because obviously I wrote the problem. Well, I copied the problem and rewrote it. So I didn't read the next part of it to kind of complete the story. But here it is. You hit 2 players on the chest. So this is what happens when you hit someone. You gain points. So we had 2 on the chest, 4 on the back, and 1 on the laser. Okay, so 200 times 2, that's 400. 100 times 4, that's 400. And 50 times 1, that's 50. So that's a total of 850. Okay. So, and why did I go ahead and combine, come up with the results of all that? Well, it's a math test, right? So we're probably going to be doing something like that. In fact, it asks, what is your total score? Okay. So, duh, that's where it's going to come into play. So 850 plus negative 123, which you could just subtract 123, right? So we end up getting 727 is your total score. 727. It's positive. We don't really need to write that, but it is positive. Okay, so here, we're done with that one. Draw a number line or bar graph to illustrate finding your total score. So if you're like, wait, we never did that. You're right, we didn't necessarily do a lot of that, but the idea is just, can you logic out, can you visualize, can you communicate this information up here? So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start at 0 points. Now, is it possible to have a negative score? It sure is, but we didn't have a negative score, right? And here's another thing I'm gonna do. I'm gonna say, you know what, we know we're gonna end up at 727. And by the way, if you're like, is this how we are supposed to do it? This exact thing right here? There is no exact way to do this, okay? In fact, you know what? Let's get rid of the 727. Let's just keep it simple. Let's just add. So we have 2 200s. So, okay. We got 200. We got one like that. And then we got another 200. So now we have scored 400 points, right? And then we score 4 100s. So you notice I kind of counted by twos, sort of. I skip counted a little bit. So 5, 6, 700, 500, 600, 700. We scored 1, 2, 3. Oh, I need to do one more because we had 4 hits, right? Okay. And then last but not least, we had a 50. So, okay, there would be 100, so like halfway, there's 50, yeah? And since I have the iPad, I get to kind of zoom in and do that. I guess really you could do the same thing, right? So boom, there is our positive scoring. And then now we're gonna remove 3 times 25. So that would look like this. Back 25, back 25, back 25. And so from 850, that would look like 775, yeah? Because think about it, 850 minus 25 is 825, minus another 25, minus another 25, right? Will get us down to 775. And then we're gonna go down 4 12s. So we don't have to step each one, but we could do this over here. 4 times 12, that's 48. So I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna go back another 48. So negative 48. And we know that we ended up at 727. So let's put that here. I'll put it in black so it really stands out. 727. That's where we ended up. So there's a number line, right? And if you're like, okay, well, wait, what's a bar graph? Okay, so I'm gonna try not to scroll up here and look at the numbers. I'm gonna try and use my number line to try and talk about a bar graph. So here's a bar graph. And so like these are down on this axis are points. No. Let's see, bar graph, I guess these will be points. And this will be, whether it was up or down. So it was whether I gained it or I lost those points, okay? So I'm looking here and I went 1, 2. I got 200 shots. So let's do this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I got 200 shots. So that could be like, that was 400 points, right? And then I got 1, 2, 3, 4 100 shots. Well, that's gonna look kind of like this. So I got another 400, and then I got a 50. So that's gonna be like right here. So that was points gained, right? And then I lost 25. So that's gonna be a little trickier to do because I counted by hundreds on this, right? So losing 25, that's like, I don't know, like right there, negative 25. And let's see, so like I said, I'm trying not to go back. Oh, I lost that 3 times. So I shouldn't say negative 25. I should do that 2 more times. That's negative 75. And then what else happened? I lost 48, which was 2 times 24. So let's switch that back to yellow for funsies. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. That was negative 48. And then you can kind of see, like, here's, actually, let me do this thing. But because of how I stand and like work on the iPad, things are often crooked. Ungroup, okay. Can we be cool? Can you be cool here? Are you gonna be cool? That works good enough. There, now it's kind of straight up and down. So, I think you can pretty much tell that, hey, there's a lot of points gained, not a lot of points lost. So in general, yeah, I would have a positive score. Again, that was just the idea of thinking. I communicated that thinking here too. Okay, back up here. So we did 43. We've done 44. 45 says, if you had hit someone 2 more times on their laser, how would your score have changed? So we're speaking hypothetically, what if I had 2 more laser shots? Well, that would be 100 more points, right? So my score would be 827. Now, what if your answer had been that you just added 100? Would you be wrong? No, I think that would be fine. Because the question was, how would your score have changed? So really, I like both of those answers. All right, we're done with that one. Your friend ended a round with positive 224 points. He was, now let's take some notes here. He was hit once in the chest, twice in the shoulder, okay? And then he hit players. He hit 2 players in the back, and he hit 1 in the laser. So he ended with 224. Check if his score is correct. If not, what should it be? So he was hit once in the chest. He lost 50. Once in the chest, twice in the shoulder. So he lost 2 times 12. Right? So that is negative 74 points, yeah? And then he hit 2 players in the back. That's 200, because 2 times 100. And 1 in the laser, that was 50. So that's 250. So let's combine these two scores. 250 minus 74. Let's see. He had 176 points. So he was wrong. His score should have been 176. All right. Oh man, if only this match had happened on Double Tap Tuesday. DTT, where chest hits count for double the points. What would your score have been if it were Double Tap Tuesday? So this is what you want to think back to. If somehow you were thinking here, I mean, that says your friend, and we want to know what your score would have been. I don't think you would have gotten that confused, but hey, you never know. So let's go back. You originally had 727, and that was when you, let's see, how many did you hit in the chest? You hit 2 players in the chest, so that was 200 times 2. Well, if it's double the points, it's kind of like we're going to do another times 2 here. So we're really going to add another, we're going to add 400 points, right? And let's see, you hit 2 players on the chest. So yeah, 200 times 2. So really it would have been 400 times 2. So right here is where we did that. And so that would have been 800, 450. So when you add 800 to 450, that's 1250. Now 1250 minus the 123, right? So here we go. That's 472. You would have had 1127. 1127. All right, we're done with that one. And then this last one, it's just for fun. Try to end it on a positive note. You are thinking of going pro with laser tag. What's your professional name? It's not just your current name. So if you just choose to be Lexton and that's your name, no, come on, come up with a pro laser name. Let's see. Mine would be, of course, McLaser, and I'm not going to spell it with an S. McLaser. And what would my mascot be? You know, I've always enjoyed a flying squirrel, so I'm going to attempt to draw a flying squirrel. Oh goodness, I don't. And so draw the flying squirrel from below, right? So there's his head, and there's his nose, like. There's this, we got some whiskers. Here's the flying squirrel. And they have a fluffy tail, I guess. And you know what? Let's make him like in a cool laser tag uniform. It's gonna be like a thing right there, and then pew, 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 pew. Big laser. McFlyers. All right. Let me know what questions you got. Happy practice test.